Welcome to Infosec Decoded number 50 with aliens, the apocalypse, and PCAPs. So we're starting with Alan, who has the apocalypse. Or maybe it looks like your sound is not coming through, Alan. Right.
Alan got DDoSed.
Or the apocalypse just took him.
It seems that way. Strangely, no sound for Alan. Well, maybe I'll move on to mine, which is much less significant. Mike Lindell is right now having his cyber symposium with 45 states worth of cyber experts there.
And he didn't call us? How dare he?
No, he put it, it's out there. Two of my friends, my right-wing friends, contacted me and said, you have to go and figure out how the election was stolen. And I said, well, I'll get right on that. But you know who got right on that was Rob Graham, who is a famous PCAP expert. He wrote the mass scan tool. He actually flew there and he's there in person. Laura Chappelle, who is another one of the world's experts in PCAPs, is following online. And they both say he's going blah, blah, blah about the election. Hand over the PCAPs. We want to see the PCAPs. And he's playing the same stuff he had before, where he has hex dumps of plain text files, which are totally not PCAPs, scrolling by too fast to read them. Which, some of us are so cynical as to believe he doesn't even have any PCAPs. But anyway, I'm watching. We will see. Supposedly he will cough up the PCAPs, and then these real experts will take a look at them, and we will find out what gives. This is, I think, the standard kind of fraud. They even warn you about this in the CISSP. You can lose your certification for this. If you find some gullible idiot who doesn't know anything technical, and you lie to him and tell him that he need to hire you to cure some imaginary problem and then take a bunch of fees to just mess around, then that's a form of, fraud. And that's, I think, what's happening to Mike Lindell. He's got some grifters that are just charging fees to tell him that they're proving something about the vote. I mean, all the people involved say that voting machines are not even connected to the internet. So I have no idea what kind of PCAPs they could be talking about that would prove anything. Anyway, it's going on now, and it's a big deal on the right. Hey, Ellen, are you back?
Apparently, they're having trouble getting their live stream online.
That's right. The live stream is broken, of course. Ellen?
People said that in lieu of running the technical sessions, he's doing a improv stand-up style comedy routine, which has to be something to behold.
Yes, that would do it. Are you there, Alan? Alan, I think, is trapped in the American internet.
Sort of. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Strange. Yes, now I hear you. Great. So why don't you tell us about the end of Nope, you cut out.
And we lost him.
Huh.
Yeah, the government does not want to let you know about this.
The end of the world.
Oh yeah,
the ongoing end of the world.
It's your network. You're all chopped up to where we can't hear you. Nope. The little microphone thing waves around. No, I think you're going to have to, I don't know, reboot the router or something.
Or call in.
That's what you get for that's true. You could probably call in on the telephone. Anyway, let's move on to Liz, and so I can get his microphone working. Floating physical shopping carts.
Yeah, it was a kind of a cool talk from DEF CON this year about the systems that lock shopping carts once you move them past the perimeter of the parking lot. And it's kind of cool. They basically all you can unlock them all with the same key, and because it's just one company that makes these shopping cart systems, and you can also essentially steal the unlock code and then via replay attack lock or unlock the carts, which you could even do with the cell phone, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. The ones I see at my Safeway are just appear to be completely mechanical. They just sort of reach down with a little crowbar and flip it back. But maybe there's an electronic switch. Yeah. I guess there must be a switch that causes it to lock.
There is. There's essentially it operates on the same premise as invisible fences for dogs, where there's basically a wire buried around the perimeter of the parking lot, and once the shopping cart crosses the wire, then the wheels lock.
Yep.
I'm not sure how effective these systems are, given the amount of shopping carts I see around the Bay Area, but it's kind of interesting that they can unlock them and lock them using this technology. And of course, where my brain went immediately was rideshare bikes and scooters and the way that those lock and unlock. So probably some similar technology.
Yeah, bikes and scooters have this kind of lock.
Well, those are often based on whether you paid or not,
Right.
but it's the same general concept, where it's a mechanical lock that's activated via what is probably one standard signal that's not encrypted.
I saw that. It's supposedly all the same. So I guess you could make a cart be gone on your phone and just lock all the carts around you.
You totally could, though that's definitely not a good idea, because you're just going to be torturing some poor grocery store worker. But
Yeah.
you totally could. Or you could just,
I was gonna say, I've seen that before.
you could unlock them all too, possibly.
You've seen people do that, Kaitlyn?
Yeah,
Oh, well, it seems like it would make a video.
there are videos.
So Kaitlyn, you've got aliens.
I have aliens again. So, you would think when the Pentagon would come out and say UFOs are real, this would be really big news, but it's just another Tuesday. And so, yeah, the Conversation has an article about basically the Pentagon report says that unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, have been pretty much confirmed by the Pentagon. And now we've known this for a while, except now the Pentagon is saying, no, they're definitely technological. Like, they're definitely moving around, and it's definitely advanced technology that we have no idea how it's moving. Because apparently what they're saying is that they will move independently of wind shifts. So that's, if it were like something in the air, something that was moving around, it would move with the wind, but it's not. Not only that, it's moving with such speed that it's going faster than sound, but it's not making any sonic booms. And this is a technology currently being developed by NASA, but not out on the market yet. So yeah, it's not just UFOs are real, but we don't know what they are, to UFOs are real, and they're pretty much, we definitely are thinking they're technology.
Now, the videos I've seen, it just looks like it's a reflection off the windshield or something, a piece of little dot of light going too fast. I guess they must have investigated and decided it can't be something like that.
Yeah, apparently, yes. Obviously, I was not part of the investigation. This is an internal Pentagon issue, US Air Force investigation. But the results are really surprising. I totally thought the Pentagon would come out and say, yeah, all this stuff is hocus pocus. Anytime you see an unidentified flying object, it's going to be either an illusion or a fake. And that's all it is. Okay, people. And that's what we were talking up. But apparently, this is not exactly the case. Now, that does not mean it's aliens. It does not mean it's necessarily it's necessarily what we think it is. It's still unknown. But the best guess right now from the people that really study this stuff is that it is somehow very real objects and technological in nature that's moving faster than sound.
Well, I mean, if that's true, then it inspires paranoia. I mean, apparently there's somebody around here with advanced weapons, and
Yep.
We're just lucky they aren't blowing us up with them.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Okay, so let's say they are aliens. If you have a spaceship that can cross the stars to come to the Earth, then you already have a weapon of mass destruction.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I don't know why anybody would come here.
Yeah. So just the energies involved in interstellar travel is so immense that the ship you come in can easily destroy the continental United States and then some. So
I'm not aware of any attraction we have.
yeah.
Oh, great.
And if they are aliens, I've always said, hey, if time travel were real, there would be time travelers doing historical research right now. And if it is some sort of alien sci-fi thing, that's what I imagine it is. It's just people from the future just doing mundane research on like 21st century, economics or something. But we'll see. It's probably even more mundane than that.
Well, now that you mention it, I could totally understand people coming here to try to figure out what the hell is wrong with us. I'm trying to figure that out from here. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
That's just scientifically, how could a culture do this many stupid things all at once? Now that's a question worth investigating.
Yeah, exactly. Except why would people this technologically advanced have to come into our atmosphere to do studies, not to study us from like behind one of Jupiter's moons? I have no idea. It's if it is technology, it's most likely experimental technology, either from a branch of the government that even the U.S. Air Force isn't really aware of, or it's a psyops campaign, or it's another nation state with some hidden technologies we don't know about, or it's a complete misunderstanding. We'll see what these are.
It is very surprising that it reaches this level of official certification. I assume it's all garbage.
I have a lot of faith in the investigations done at the Pentagon. If they say this is something that's real, not necessarily that it's aliens or something, but it's like these are not just illusions. Okay, I'm on board with that.
They had the men who stare at goats, Anyway, all right.
Oh, go on. Men who stare at goats.
You didn't see the movie? No, there's a psychic ESP research that keeps coming back every now and then.
But they keep saying it's garbage.
They do eventually conclude that it's garbage, and I'm assuming they will eventually conclude that this is garbage too.
No, but that's the thing. They're concluding that it's not garbage.
Well,
that's what makes this interesting. It's not that we're looking into UFOs and we're going to see if they're aliens. They're saying, yeah, we looked into it, and it turns out that it's not all, we'll see. It likely is all hogwash, but
yep. Well, okay. All right. Anyway, Irvin's got no more Bluetooth security keys.
Yeah, Google is dropping their Bluetooth Titan keys in favor of NFC because they're supposed to be more universal between iOS and Android.
NFC, okay. Yeah, I wonder if there's a security issue.
It doesn't, from this article, it doesn't seem like there is a security issue, but my sense was kind of maybe there is a security issue, and that and the whole trying to make one for everything, trying to reach into the Apple market.
I know Google's a big proponent of these things. They say it ended all phishing when they switched back to authentication everywhere.
Yeah, so if you have a Bluetooth Titan key, that will survive until the warranty expires, and then you'll have to get an NFC.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we're back to me. Right. So Tucker Carlson is broadcasting from Hungary, and the right-wing ecosystem has decided that we should imitate Hungary. We've heard someone also say we should imitate Myanmar. And it is actually sort of horrifying. This is the part that's really troubling me most about politics, is not that we had Trump, because he was just an individual figure like Joseph McCarthy before him. You get these fanatic racist lunatics who appear and then they leave. But the whole Republican Party has just jumped on board of this and pushing forward both feet. Now they totally want to imitate the leader of Hungary, who has done what they're trying to do here. He has arranged to rig the elections. So he continues to have so-called elections, but they're rigged so that his party always wins with gerrymandering. And he totally took over all the press. All the press is completely controlled. He crushed and drove out of the country all the press that would criticize him. So he has nothing but basically Fox News praising what he wants. He closed the colleges and forced all the colleges to quit teaching like modern things. He's totally against lesbians and gays and anything modern. And he's basically accomplishing all the things that the modern Republican Party wants, turning us into 1950, ending all woke and enlightened stuff. And it's working. and they're now openly embracing it and saying we should imitate that in order for the white male conservative minority to take control of the government over the majority. And it is something I wouldn't have thought you'd be able to do openly, but they're openly doing it. And it is sort of terrifying. This is what happened. This is what people said. They said Trump's failed coup in January. This is what usually happens. This is how it works. You have a coup that fails, and that's practice for the coup that succeeds. So the next two elections, I think, are very critical. I think we may very well have no more elections after that. They might just be totally fake. And our only strong defense against it is the Biden administration being popular enough to win by a really popular landslide. And I really don't see that happening because he's screwed up so badly, especially in Afghanistan. I think he's made enough mistakes that he's not like gigantically, wonderfully 10 times better than Trump, which is what he would have to be. I think he's just a little bit better than Trump, not enough to get huge popular support behind him. Anyway, we are living through amazing times as the Republican Party abandons all pretense of democracy. Anyway, Liz has got farm problems.
Yes, so we knew that there were some issues with the way that modern farm equipment is sold and deployed, and the fact that essentially equipment manufacturers like John Deere and International Harvester have essentially done their best to try and set up a walled garden so that farmers are beholden to them for repairs and any kind of configuration updates and stuff like that. Well, turns out these systems are also wildly insecure. Some researchers did a presentation on some of the vulnerabilities they found, and it's interesting because some of the stories that we've covered in the past here have had to do with farmers having to essentially hack their tractors so that they could repair them. But this takes a look at it from the other side, and these guys basically got into a lot of the web applications used by these devices and just found a whole host of super basic security vulnerabilities that were just left unaddressed. And I mean, I think he said within 90 seconds, the first one they found was like a cross-site scripting attack, stuff that there's really no excuse for, even if you run a basic automated web app vuln scanner, So they told them, and they're like, well, it's not that big a deal. And then they started to show some more stuff, and they're like, well, maybe it is kind of a big deal, and we're going to do something about this and partner with a bug bounty platform and all that. So it's kind of interesting because my mind kind of went to, well, it'd be really, I could see ransomware attacks becoming a thing here because if farmers have farming, there's a lot of money on the line. And if you disable somebody's harvester at harvest time, they're going to be on a whole world of trouble. So hopefully they start to address some of this stuff, because we're already dealing with a lot of supply chain problems here. And, if people are unable to harvest their crops, it's going to get worse. So hopefully these companies offer some, on one hand, I want to say, hopefully they beef up their security and offer some more protections. On the other hand, I hope they don't focus their security efforts on repairs that will lock out farmers from fixing their stuff. So really good example of how these things can be sort of a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And this sounds very typical for any industry like the medical industry. If they haven't yet had been subjected to humiliation from the security industry, at first they say, oh, no, we're fine. And then they say, oh, well, this stuff doesn't matter. And then they say, oh, gee, we're going to have to rethink our whole development process and include all these expensive, irritating security tests, everybody
Right.
goes through the same stages of grief, admitting that security is actually a problem. All right. And then we got this one, right. So Kaitlyn has, oh yeah, Amazon harassing people.
Yeah, poor Amazon customers. So Gizmodo has an article written by Elise Stanley talking about how 53 or over 50% of people selling on Amazon are third-party affiliates, essentially. They are stores that go onto Amazon as their storefront. And they're not really supposed, 56% of all products sold on the platform come from third-party sellers. That's what the article specifies. Anyway, so these third-party sellers are not privy to Amazon's internal database. So when you leave a negative review, they're not supposed to know who you are. However, third-party services have cropped up so that they can track you down, and they will email you and hound you for better reviews. And sometimes, they'll bribe you for it, which is not too bad. If you leave a negative review, they'll say, we'll give you a full refund and an extra one if you, leave us a better review and such so on and so forth. But there is a privacy concern, of course, that these people are, tracking people down, emailing them, harassing them for better reviews. And apparently good reviews are the, secret sauce of these third-party Amazon sellers. And it's getting to the point where it's not only eroding the protections that you would want as a consumer of not being able to be tracked for your purchases, but also you can't really trust Amazon reviews anymore. There's so much shady behind the scenes finagling of these reviews that if something has like 5 or 4 stars, you don't know if that's really because the product is good or if the seller is manipulating the reviews to make them look much better than they should be.
Well, yeah, I think it's always been that way. But anyway, tracking down individual people and harassing them, that's pretty rude. And I hope Amazon stamps that out. Although I think my reviews go under my real name, so anybody could find me easily.
Yeah, well, they can. Sometimes they're under real names, sometimes they're not.
There might be some option somewhere to anonymize it. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that they're going around Amazon. So it's not like Amazon is saying, oh, we're letting people have access to our database. Oops, we should cut that out. They're saying, they already said, no, we're not going to tell you who these people are.
Yeah.
But they're using OSINT and other techniques to figure it out.
The thing I think would happen first is people would just quit leaving reviews out of fear that they'll get harassed.
Yep.
All right. And all right. And Irvin's got, oh yeah, the child sex abuse at Apple. Boy, this is really hitting the press like a bombshell.
It is. So Apple, I think it was right before DEF CON, said that, hey, they were going to take the pictures on iPhones and run them through this algorithm to see is it what is that? Child sexual abuse material? And if so, then it would let the authorities know.
It doesn't sound in itself like a bad thing.
Right. But then the instant response of people was like, wait, so they're gonna scan all our pictures? They have access to that then? They could do all kinds of stuff, and then from there has been that big snowball of other places like WhatsApp piping up and going, oh, we don't do that. We're not going to scan your pictures.
Well, I wonder about that. The thing that strikes me is everyone has to do this. If you in computer forensics, they sell you, if you have a database and it has child sexual abuse material, you have to turn that in. Otherwise, you're guilty of a felony possessing it. So all the cloud services like Dropbox and everybody, they all scan your stuff for this. Right. I don't think anybody can ignore it.
Right. So Apple's saying we're going to do that. Well, I guess the difference for that is you're uploading it, you're putting it there.
Right.
Apple's saying we're going to go to your phone and grab it from there.
Yeah, I guess so. And then they're saying, of course, pretty soon you'll have repressive governments demanding that you look for these images, which have a political meaning, and Apple won't be able to say no because they've set a precedent.
Right. They opened the can of worms that can't be closed anymore.
Yeah. I guess there might be some truth in that. Apple might be able to pretend they can't scan locally on your device, but they totally can. Just like they totally could have unlocked that phone for the FBI that wanted in the terrorist phone. It's not like they couldn't do it. They just wanted to have a line in the sand there of what they refused to do. And Edward Snowden came on Twitter and said, they totally sold out all their users a few years ago in a similar issue when China said, you can't have iCloud in America that we can't see. You need to put the iCloud servers in China so we can scan all the data on iCloud. And Apple did that. I didn't know Apple had done that. I knew BlackBerry did that for the United Arab Emirates. But if you're going to sell in a country, you kind of have to obey the local laws of that country, even if you don't agree with them. Anyway, people are screaming and yelling, but I'm not sure it's justified. I'm not sure they're doing much more than what everybody else is doing. Like people say, I'll switch to Android. Do we know that Android doesn't do this? I guess they don't scan on your device.
Yeah, that's the whole sticky point. Is yes, Google is scanning when like your Pixel phone uploads it.
Yeah.
And then they do it there.
Well,
Apple's saying we're just going to do it on the device.
Well, this is kind of consistent with Apple's whole model, which has always been essentially the same as the old telephone company, where you don't really own your phone. It's part of Apple, and you don't really have full control over it. You can only run official apps. It kind of mates their philosophy.
Like Tesla.
Tesla, yeah, that's right. Tesla also thinks they can disable the stuff on your Tesla. Yeah, I think they all regard you as like renting your device from them and not really owning it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, people are sure getting mad about it. Anyway, by the way, it should be mentioned that child sexual abuse materials are a real thing, and a lot of people are really being hurt. And it probably is justified to have some degree of privacy invasion to do something about it.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so everybody is resisting the bloody vaccine. The San Francisco Sheriff's Deputies Union are refusing to take it. The sheriffs don't want to be forced to take the vaccine. Teachers don't want to be forced to take the vaccine, which strikes me as madness. The unions are all saying, oh no, we have to have our freedom to not take the vaccine and die and infect our students and customers, which I really don't have much sympathy for. And so the military is going to force everybody to take the vaccine. They say it's very soon, within a month or so. And hopefully that will start a trend of everybody doing this. I think all these organizations and unions resisting the vaccine are out of their bloody mind. But as far as I can tell, unions seem to have settled on just coddling the stupidest, most extreme fringe of anybody instead of setting any kind of reasonable standards. Anyway, I like the idea of unions, but in practice, they don't seem to do much good for anybody. Teachers union doesn't seem to be doing us any good at all. Anyway, so Liz has got Elon Musk's brother, who I never heard about before. What's he doing?
I haven't either, but speaking of unions, so his brother has a nonprofit called Big Green, and it sounds great on paper at first. So essentially, what he's doing is he wants to build vegetable gardens at underfunded inner city schools, which is cool. I'm with that plan, and the only potential issue here is that they are forbidding, after they're doing their best to union bust the teachers that work at these schools and prevent them from unionizing, which is a little troubling and also possibly illegal. He's essentially like forbid them from talking to the unions or even talking to each other about unionizing. Which it's kind of interesting because a lot of these kind of super woke 21st century outwardly liberal leaning companies are doing their best to prevent their workers from unionizing. And it's kind of interesting considering the fact that I'm sort of in the same boat. I have not been impressed with the performance of teachers unions, at least here in California. but maybe it's better than nothing because, you know, you know, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about this, but I think that anytime the employer is really actively trying to suppress unions, maybe that's something you ought to look at.
Yeah, yeah. It would sure be nice if unions actually helped workers, or if somebody would actually help the workers. There's not much of that happening.
I think one of the things that can be helpful about with unions is that it does force a little more transparency sometimes, not all the time, but it can force a little more transparency. And I think, I mean, I think that's definitely a good thing. I think that it can also offer some protections, at least, even if it's not perfect, it can offer some protections. Just depends on the union, depends on the employer, depends on the situation.
Yeah, I don't know. They already went all the way to cutting and firing full-time tenured professors at City College, and they're planning to do it again next semester. So I don't know.
I think though that just because, you know, our union's particularly worthless doesn't necessarily mean that they're all like that.
Maybe not, but I watch them. The Hagar dues, they send them to a national office, and all the national office does is try to stop them from making teachers take the vaccine. That's their big cause. So they just seem to be worse than useless. They seem to be a force to make things worse. Anyway,
Too.
so NASA is training human-like robots.
Yeah. So CBS News has an article written by Sophie Lewis talking about how NASA is working with Boston Dynamics. You know, the people that make those robot dogs that freak everyone out.
They're really, really great robots. They really can like walk well. And
yeah, they can like walk around, and they have like bipedal versions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they want to send these robots, these Boston Dynamic type robots, to Mars and the moon to explore caves. And this is a non-trivial operation, because normally the way that robots work when you send them to another planet is that everything is monitored, right? You have a constant communication between ground control and the robot, and every single action is calculated and, you know, performed in a simulation and then out in the world. And when you go into a cave, suddenly you can't communicate with the satellites. You can't get a ground feed anymore. So it has to be completely autonomous. And that's where Boston Dynamics comes in, and they're dog-like robots. So the idea is to send in these wholly autonomous robots into these caves to get data, collect samples, and then like come back out and then send that data back to the mission control, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it does sound great, just like the Terminator.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So Boston Dynamics does have bipedal robots, and they could easily be modified to look like a metallic skeleton. Yeah. And like we can apply weapons platforms to them. Yeah. Oh, and we can send them to Mars.
At the very least, they're going to need like a pick and a shovel, right?
I don't know. I mean, there will definitely be, you know, payloads attached.
Yeah.
Usually instead of picks and shovels, we send drills to collect samples. But the thing about drills is that they can get stuck. They can, you know, there can be a lot of issues with drills that would require ground control to monitor everything all the time. But maybe, who knows, maybe we can make them smart enough that they can handle any situation they come up with. Although, you know, it's really hard to train these robots that are going to work in wholly different environments, you know, either different atmospheres, different gravities, different types of soil, rocks, etc. So,
well, for true horror movie potential, I recommend giving them chainsaws. I think that would be awesome. Anyway.
Yeah, chainsaws, knives.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And Irvin has got people infecting NAS devices.
Yes. Well, it's the stealth worker ransomware that is being used as a platform to hit Synology systems.
And what's the problem with them? A default password or something?
Not default password, but weak passwords set by users. the usual stuff of, oh, it's, it's local, so I'm not gonna put actual protections on it because it whatever. But then they connect it out to the world, to the internet, and then get it ransomware.
It would seem like ransomware your NAS would be a pretty good way to do it. People will probably pay money to get that stuff back.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the cure is just choose a better password.
Use a better password. There is two-factor authentication, or just don't put the thing online.
Yeah. Well, that kind of the whole point of it is to be online, I suppose. But anyway.
It doesn't have to be, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it for this one, and we'll be back on Friday. Where's my off button? There it is.